Chapter 2. Visual. It was about 3 months since her last visit to the surface and to see the graying sky. Even to feel some sort of substitution to sunlight was anything than the metal halls of GGF. Josie knew this well and swore the hue of her darker skin was almost paling. Her childhood was scattered, but she always remembered honoring Apollos, praying to his name. She was not scared to give joyous praise to an invisible being, because just as they were cruel, they were also merciful. They had given her a good home, a mother and a father, living life to the fullest with their only daughter. Gaia was always full of drama with the shopkeepers and such. She was just happy to keep her own little corner. She never thought to be pushed into a medical field, and knew close to nothing about how to tie a bandage or point ointment to an injury. She sold houses for pity's sake. She sold international shipments. She wasn't ready for this, but yet here she was. When she was recruited along with the others, she learned quickly and became a medic when needed. Nurses and doctors were a hot supply when all was left of the human race was just 1,000 people. Josie found that she could take on the task, almost seeing a broken bone as a cracked piece of wood, a missing joint needing a needle to put it back into place. She made a game of it, and the strange scenario was just enough to keep her going. When most of the immortals had escaped from Gambino Island, she blacked out from most of the terror, and she was thankful for this. Hearing horror stories from others was one thing. Standing in the blood and gore of the dead she saw was one thing. And seeing her friends ripped apart, alive, was something she could never go through. When Edmund had lost his eye, she, with shaken hands, had cut the vein keeping it in its socket. She, who had tears streaming down her face, held his hand and prayed for him to keep his hope. When he opened his eye and regarded her with a face full of understanding, she held out her circle charm. His large hand folded over her small fingers, the golden charm, and said, flashback quote, "Keep it, Josie. You believe in something. Keep believing in something because most of us don't give a damn," end quote, any more than them all, and she shook her head. Unbound ebony locks glistening in the faint overhead lighting of her office. Her brown eyes already wary from looking over the daily logs of the injured and people already starving for more food. It was worse enough that the food supply was slowly growing less and less within the last few weeks. This place was only meant to be built for only a few people, not a horde of terrified Gaians. It had become a sinner's paradise in the lower levels, where the most were 5 to a room, unbearable in her opinion. Gambino scolded her at her demands, but he gave up some of his personal quarters for some of the homeless children. But under growling pleas, the man finally relented. Thus, Josie almost took up the caring for the homeless children, or finding homes for others, and taking up being a medic. Still, she hoped. Breaking down, there were 2 words were not in her vocabulary. Currency was a myth now, and the power in the levels was what made some of them uproars happen here and there, people demanding food, shelter, or something warm to sleep with. She snorted, and her golden hoops glistened against her hair, jolting down a few more notes on her crumbled paper. Sasha had clung to Ian when other men and even other women wanted something as pretty as her to warm their beds. Josie had proven to be stronger than that and reminded others that if so much as looked at her in a lusting way, that she could either save their lives or cut their strings altogether. That stopped her fan base, and she was left alone. Dark fingertips came to the circle around her neck and clasped it, and she played with it absent-mindedly, the symbol of unity, the symbol of Apollos. When her thoughts were afloat, she would always trace or jingle it from the nape of her neck, feeling that familiar gold piece, smooth and always warm. Even when her skin was clammy and cold, it was the device that she held more than 20 times a day, keeping the texture and shape forever ingrained within the span of her mindscape. the circle that united them all in a motion that continued forever and always, never stopping or giving up. It was mushy, it was overrated, it was cliché, but for everything that she was, she indulged in it. Maybe this was her anti-drug, who knows? The knock on her door gave her a jolt, and her senses became alerted again, twisting her body slightly in the worn chair that squeaked when she stood. Her motions were present, and clearing her mind, her voice coming through like a steady river. You may open the door. It is open. The sliding door creaked open, the heavy metal groaning like an old ghost in this ancient prison, and in came Ian, eyes heavy for a second, but then softened when singing to Josie. She recalled when he first had light gray eyes, the color of milky morning fog, but with stress and sorrow darkening those orbs of sight to a clumpy watercolor shade. His heavy sweater almost 2 sizes on his stocky frame, but his hand reached up to brush the dark locks from his forehead. Smiling sheepishly, but it didn't seem to reach his eyes, he asked, Do you have any more of those pills, Jose? Sasha missed her time again. Josie scolded, ignoring the silly nickname that he so lovingly gave her. It was more presented towards his last comment. She gave the former vampire a look before nodding and turning around to her large cabinet to the left of her desk. How many times is that now, Ian? 1, 2, 3. I can't keep giving out pills like this. Ian nodded and took the small brown bag that Josie presented to him, looking towards his feet and then back at her. I know, Jose, but you know how Sasha is. The stress with holding the meetings and dealing with the people was starting to build up for her, he sighed. She fixed him with a slight, replying calmly look. You do realize I handle about 3 other duties than she does, and I still can remember to take the birth control pills. If Gambino even finds out that a baby was growing inside another woman in here, he would flip. We can't go down that road yet, until we and all the other people can settle ourselves into at least a new society. Ian's face became expressionless, and Josie knew she may have stepped over the line with that comment. But they always went down this line when the Sasha subject came up. The couple would fight, and Ian would always find his way down to cool off, then go back, leaving Josie alone as always. It was like the circle around her neck, going on and never changing. Change was something that happened so fast that it would never be tracked. His hands gripped at his side before the vocals that came from his throat froze the air in the room. She swore her heart started to beat faster, just to stop the icicles from forming around it. I'm not a child anymore, Josie. I can take care of things like this. Then he was gone. As soon as he came through the door, shutting it behind him, Josie alone with the office again. She could only stare with a sad look to that heavy frame in front of her. Ian could take care of it, he had said. Then, each time there was a missing of the month for Miss Sasha, Ian would be here again. Instead of refusing him, Josie would give in and give what he had asked for. Sasha, she thought with such venom. Little Miss Sasha. Sasha this and Sasha that. Even though she shouldn't take in the fact that she had no reason to be jealous, but whatever Sasha got, well, she got. Gino ate out of the palm of her hand, Ian ate out of the other. The only 2 that didn't put up with her crap were Gambino or Edmund, or if you counted 3, such as herself. Even then, if anything flashed in front of them, she swore that they would just walk by because of what was on their mind. To the point in hand, Sasha did have some kind of gentle heart, but Josie had seen the signs like this beforehand. Sasha liked attention, and though it was little here and a little there, if she didn't get it, hell would freeze over. Sasha with a lovely tan skin, while Josie was naturally dark. Sasha with her lovely highlights, while Josie's hair was a natural black. Sasha with her bright eyes, while Josie's were an earth brown. Josie always considered herself a bigger figure than Sasha. She was curving, and slightly a few pounds on her hips and breasts were full. She took pride that she wasn't real like Sasha, but Sasha was what boys wanted. Josie would admit that she was lonely, but she wouldn't just give up her virginity just to some loser in the end.